what's happening? Boy, I couldn't tell you what day it is, boy. Just, what, boy, it's the most Thursdayest Wednesday I've ever felt in my life. But another day above 6 feet, man. Welcome back to NOCAPPP. Chill vibes, man. Chill vibes. It was a smooth day. Really just coasting. Crazy thing, though, every day that passes, I talk to people just a little bit less just because it's a lot of dumb shit being said outside. Like a lot. And I'm like, man, you got to choose between two evils. Not talking to people and not socializing as much as you need to. Or socializing and killing brain cells. But we back to it today. Really chill vibes because the topic is chill. Topic of the good old days and reminiscing, man. Thinking back on how things were when you're growing up, different experiences from childhood, comparing things from today to 5 years ago to 15 years ago to so on and so forth. And I noticed something when I was out socializing every day, just interacting with folk. One of the common changes that occurred amongst people is we have a word, right, with nostalgia that describes having a warm feeling and positive outlook at the past and things that you experienced and things behind you, right? There's also a word that explains that same feeling for the future, which is optimism. And even though the topic is the good old days, right underneath it in italics could be lack of optimism or shortage of optimism, because the purpose of hair in my mouth, that's crazy. The purpose of having a conversation about the good old days is the fact that people are no longer conversing about the future with the same level of positivity that they talk about the past with. And that's interesting because as humans, which is why my opinion is that we all should be moving toward evolution, is because we always used to look forward toward the unknown with optimism, because there's this feeling that things are good, but they could get better. I don't know what year it happened, but at some point the switch flipped, and instead of things are good, they can get better, it turned into, man, you ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing yet. What's coming next? And pessimism just took over. And with the outlook for the future being a lot more pessimistic, people are now leaning heavily into the nostalgia, where things that, okay, right, optimism is the positive look toward the future. Now we got that pessimistic look toward the future. The opposite of that, when you're looking back, is trauma. We got folk looking back at trauma with nostalgia, right? Like, man, I cut off 3 of my fingers in a horrific accident, but it's better than me having to cut my hand off tomorrow. I'm like, folks are, it's such a sense of dread that instead of continuing to lean into optimism and hope, folks are leaning back into memories and mentally recreating the memories, where things that weren't as positive are now being seen through rose-colored glasses. For example, right? Growing up in a black family, getting whoopings was common. You did something bad, you got your ass whooped. And especially if you were in a legit black family, it wasn't just one. It was the beginning of the timeline of ass whooping was wherever ground zero was, whatever adult caught you there. And then that spread like wildfire. Every adult that caught you along your way home got a piece of that. Or say it wasn't even on the way home. If there was a gathering that was to occur and not just you going home, man, tic-tac-toe on your ass. Connect Four. Everybody was lining up to get some. Folks are now looking back on ass whoopings like, man, they sure did whoop my ass, boy, didn't they? Like, reflecting positively on an ass whooping compared to, oh, I'm about to go to this job and they gonna be beating my ass, weighing down on me, heavy. The burden of responsibility is more stressful than trying to figure out where the next ass whooping is coming from. That's just crazy when you look at it at his face, but when you start to delve deeper into it, you'll start to see that the underlying tone of majority of these nostalgic conversations or events are based in human connection, where something occurred and it was an event that can only be born from human connection. And now there's something happening today in which it's uncomfortable, but the symptoms are basically symptoms of the lack of human connection. Because in order to get your ass whooped, somebody had to see you. And then they was going out their way to connect with other adults to phone a friend, and how it was their turn. And even though these was individual ass whoopings for you, each point was a point of contact with somebody else. Compared to, man, this job is terrible and it's uncomfortable. And I can't communicate it's uncomfortable to the right people because I can't even get in contact with the right people to change it. Or I have a lot of responsibilities I had to take care of and feel like I'm shouldering all of it. And there's nobody that I can connect with to help ease the burden or to help ground myself. Both are symptoms of lack of human connection. And I don't want to prolong the conversation. Majority of the problems that we have are due to lack of connection, and the symptoms of lack of connection are poor communication, loss of skills, brain rot. All of these things are lack of human experience from lack of connection. So with all of the events that folk will look back upon, right? Your fondest memories, your worst memories, your memories from back in the day that you can still call to mind, the most vivid ones. How many of them were based in human connection where you were actively engaging with somebody? Or you were actively engaging with a group of people where there was an environment in which people were engaging with each other? How many of your memories are connected to that? And it's a question for everybody. So as many people that ever see this video, all your best memories, all your most vivid memories, how many of them are rooted in connecting compared to what are your most pressing thoughts positive or negative about the future. Like, what do you see happen? What do you want to happen? What do you fearful might happen? And how many of those are rooted in connection, where us connecting is going to end up bearing the fruits of this positive thing, or us connecting is going to end up with this negativity happening, or this cause of pessimism coming to pass. And it's a thought experiment that folk have to have, because when you start looking at nostalgia, nostalgia is just one of the strong remnants that remain from the human abilities that we're lacking. Because as we make life more convenient, as we start to come up with these inventions that take the burden or take this skill away from us, we're simplifying ourselves to a point where the abilities that we have innately that humans can do, like great memory, we rob ourselves of these skills with inventions. So inventions born of convenience always give on the front end, but they take away from the back end. With every great invention, we become a little less human. And now we get into a point where there's so many new things getting created that aren't really, they don't have the same level of utility as early inventions. And because these things don't have the same level of utility, they're helpful to a point, but they're also detrimental at a same level or a higher level than before. Where, let's say, the refrigerator. The refrigerator cool, but compare the utility of a refrigerator, how useful a refrigerator is compared to going from iPhone 16 to iPhone 17. How much more useful did the iPhone become? Did it take a huge burden off your life? Did it improve your life? Okay, but now with these inventions and these improvements, what are you now no longer doing? What are you giving up in order to get these small incremental improvements? Because opportunity cost is the most important term in life. In order to choose this decision, you have to give up these decisions. In order to obtain this, you have to lose this, this, and that. And the better way to word it is, consider every single decision you make in life like a multiple choice test, where you got A, B, C, and D. And it's not select multiple answers, it's just A, B, C, or D. So even though you're looking for the correct answer, the opposite side of this is you're only able to make 25% of the available choices. And that's just for A, B, C, or D. So you can only do 25% of what's available. Now, allow each one of these choices to impact the next choice. And the first choice is 25%. The number dwindles from there. It's the same when you talk about inventions, where I have a bunch of options. I'm choosing this one. So I got to get the most out of it. But if I keep making the same choice over and over again, I'm dwindling them down what's available. And that's the same kind of conversation that's had with inventions. And to compare it to nostalgia and memories, it's the same. You had so much relying on interacting with people, where every single variable, every single piece of every interaction mattered, because it's based on two humans making a decision, and you had to get the most out of yourself to make the best decision. But now I'm leaning on tools and inventions that dwindle my ability to be present or to make the best decision. So while I'm going through this, and I've taken away, I'm 30-40% of myself. So only 60% of my abilities I'm still using. I'm still expected to make the same decisions. I know it can get confusing, but the underlying point behind that is the good old days were the good old days because you're more present, you're more engaged, you're more aware. And with human interaction, all of these things are completely required because there is nothing more authentic than human interaction. You're a social animal, you're created to interact. Now, today, it requires less of you because these inventions and everything that we created, they're not natural. So our interactions through them aren't going to be natural. If that makes sense. All animals are programmed to behave a certain way. And any technology or any new invention that they come across isn't something they were born with. So it's not going to be natural interaction with it. It's going to be adaptation of behavior. And the more of these changes that you go through, the less natural your behavior gets, less natural your interactions get. And by default, the less engaged you are in what's going on. And that's majority what we've been going through, which is why the good old days look so good, because you're not as engaged. You're not in tune with what's going on around you. A lot of our everyday lives are so unnatural that we numb ourselves to how unnatural they are. And when you just put yourself in autopilot for so long, you stop understanding how to function. You putting yourself through so many unnatural things that when it's time to go back to acting quote unquote normal or how you're programmed to behave, you don't know how to do it, where to do it, or how to even get started. And even though that's my opinion, I'm pretty sure do enough research, you'll understand just how primitive but natural human interaction is, how easy it is for us compared to trying to live a modern life or socialize in modern days, how weird it is and how foreign it is to us and how we learn how to do it, but basically cutting off pieces of ourselves in order to learn how. And with a lot of these inventions, a lot of the sacrifices we make aren't just human sacrifices. Nature involved as well, where things like cars, cell phones, and things that even seem mundane, like land for houses. We sacrificing so much of nature that, again, when you're trying to go back to being what's natural, you get to a point where it's not feasible anymore. And there is no going back to being natural. And case in point being what I'm going to get to on this board, but we're going to get to the board later. Getting back to good old days. Me, for example, I'm going to put myself into it. And again, that's what the platform is for. Be able to comment, give opinions, perspective, facts, share them, and be comfortable sharing them with others. And folks can either include their perspective and their opinions or they can comment and share their perspective and their logic behind why they agree or disagree with somebody else's. So with me, right, I'm just shape the beginning of the timeline of where I'm at today, right? I have a few behaviors that I know are seen as weird to normal people, but to me, it's me being as normal of a human as possible. So growing up, I grew up with a landline in the house. And for anybody that ever had a landline, or for people who don't know what a landline is, it's a phone that stays in the house. You leave the house, you leave the phone. Simple as that. There's no taking the phone with you. What that means is once you leave the house, you're not getting in contact with me. Simple. So the entirety of the time I'm out the house, I'm actively engaging. I'm experiencing life. I'm interacting with people. When I get back to the house, check the voice message. Who called? And you had to leave a message. Otherwise, I'm not calling you back. You left a message. You told me why you called. And then I can make the decision on whether I should call you back or not. Simple. But again, majority of the time is spent outside interacting. Compared to now, where folks always have cell phones on them, so I don't have to meet you to communicate with you. And people don't leave voice messages often. And majority of the time, they don't even like texting. So you have to reach them through multiple mediums, or FaceTime them, call them, yada, yada, yada. And you have to participate in the conversation to then determine whether it's important or not. I still behave like I got the landline. Don't call me unless it's important. Honestly, I really don't even want to text you. Wherever you at, wherever I'm at, if we can't link up, it don't matter. Because interaction means more than anything. I'm still the same way with all my people. I'm not calling you, I'm not texting you. I'm going to pull up where you at. Simple. My hobbies. Again, growing up as a kid, was expected to go outside. So all of my memories as a child are not in somebody's house. It's no, I was outside in the neighborhood somewhere, on somebody's street, on my street, on the sidewalk, or at a park somewhere, hooping, playing curveball, riding bikes, going to stores, grabbing food, all outside. So as an adult, I'm still the same way. If I get to choose, I'm going outside. So going and always being in the air, nah, fuck all that. The weather's gonna be the weather. You're not gonna be able to change the weather. All you can do is adjust to the weather. And you're not gonna be able to avoid the weather. How you gonna, like, it sounds stupid as fuck to try to avoid nature. So still outside. The weather is cold, I adjust. If it's hot outside, I adjust. But regardless, I'm gonna be familiar with nature because it's not going nowhere. You can try to hide in the house with all of these natural disasters occurring and letting you know your house ain't sturdy enough. You better be outside figuring out whether it's safe or not. Because if you try to wait and see from the house, good luck. If you go outside and that shit look ugly, time to go. Another example, going out to eat. Going out to eat used to mean something. Like if I go to a restaurant and sit down in the restaurant, I'm chilling. There is no, this is a stop, and then there's the next stop, and then there's the next stop. No, you do everything you were supposed to do before, because once you get here, there's no time limit. I could be here all day, especially for anybody that ever ate at like Ponderosa Steakhouse or Golden Corral or buffet style. I used to eat till I got full, stop eating, go to the bathroom, come back and eat some more. Can't do that in an hour. Probably be there 2, 3 hours compared to now. Same way. If I'm going to a restaurant, that's the move. I'm not determining the next move until after I'm done. Can't. Nah. Let me sit here for about 90 minutes, figure out what I'm going. I can't determine how long it's going to take them to make my food. Whether I'm going to have to send my food back, whether I'm a tip, whether there's a conversation going where I need to focus on the conversation. Can't determine all that. I'm focused in the experience while I'm experiencing it. Focused on the interaction while I'm in it. Instead of trying to time it or connect to other. Mm-mm. And then a lot of my mentality is based on facts and experiences, because experiences are facts. I know something to have occurred. I witnessed it. Just completely, just unfiltered experiences, though. Not the, I'm adjusted for my perspective. No, a tree struck my car. If that's the experience, cool. That's the experience. You know it to be true. You know that trees can't strike cars. Compared to, man, I was driving fast, hit a car, and a branch fell on my car. But I'll say is tree fell on it. The actual experience, take as fact. So when I'm dealing with learning or going about engaging with people, I'm listening. But not just listening to what they say, but looking at all the variables going around the conversation. How people are behaving, what the weather is like, the temperament, all the things that are required in the nonverbal parts of communication compared to, I just hit them up on TikTok. I send these TikTok videos over and over. I hit you on Snapchat. I'm gonna send you these snaps of random pictures, subtitles in them. I'm a random syntax. Text messages aren't the same as having an in-person conversation. But with the heavy lean on interacting through technology, again, when you gain something, the ability to communicate without having to be in front of somebody, you lose something, which is the lack of social skills and not understanding nonverbal communication. So I'm heavy in I got to see you when we talking. You got to understand the way I'm saying this and my intention for saying it. Because through this technology, you can only pick up so much. Even with FaceTime, there's only so much you can pick up. Whatever the camera is capturing, you can pick up. There's a lot more going on than what's being captured by the camera. But just my experience of my depiction of the good old days. A time when human interaction was the most important thing. Genuine human interaction was the most important thing. The building of families, the building of communities, the building of relationships, the building of interactions, the building of a plan toward a future in which human interaction was always at the front. That's the good old days to me, where us being together and doing something together was goal number one, goal number two, goal number three, compared to what the future looks like, in my opinion, where this is not my goal for the future. This is what I'm seeing. The future looks like. Humans not interacting or having a reason to interact. Everything's being run by technology and through technology. And instead of coming together to interact, which requires a community mindset, everybody's sectioned off and surrounded by technology and individualized. So human interaction almost ceases to exist. And that's just my assessment from watching, and not my optimism for the future. Optimism for the future is we pick up on what's going on and we going, hey, yeah, all of this shit was cute and fun, but we need to keep this main thing the main thing. And if it defies or interrupts with this main thing, we can cut it loose. Only things that we're ever going to keep are things that are going to supplement human interaction. So the excessive use of technology to communicate, I don't agree with that, but the ability to locate each other in order to meet and communicate is cool. Like, it's give and take. There's pros and cons to everything. So we always have the decision to look back at the good old days as addict or nostalgic. And as a group, we tend to pick nostalgic, which is why the term is the good old days. And we had the same decision to make about the future, where it could be optimistic or pessimistic. The optimism is we moving towards something good. We still making that decision as a group, but the overwhelming majority right now is getting shitty outside. But to get to a point that was being made, right? I saw these graphs online and I already had a bit of the information because I'm interested in things like that, but wanted to share the information on here as well. And I'm not sure if this is, let me see if I can pick this up and bring it closer. Have to adjust this, man. I'm trying to line it up so it's fitting perfectly in the camera. All right, bet. All right, bet. So, no, you can't see my face, but I wanted to make it. Sheesh. But there we go. All right, so I saw this graph online. I thought it'd be interesting to share, right? And the whole point of the chart is, of course, CO2 emissions. And CO2, for anybody that's not been living under a rock, is basically the shit that's heating up the earth. So the biggest cause of global warming. So we got the X and Y axis. Of course, the X goes horizontal, the Y goes vertical. Across the Y axis, right? That measurement right here, that's the CO2 emissions by thousands of pounds. The first one right here, that right there, you see that? Yeah, I had to draw all of that too. So it's airplanes. And it's basically a flight from New York City to San Francisco. So across the entirety of the US for one person. That's 2,000 pounds of CO2. Human life, so 1 year of human life is 11,000 pounds of CO2. Average American life for 1 year. So that includes like lights and any other utility or available pro to living in the US. 36.2, so 36,200 pounds of CO2 in a year. Hold on, my bad. Let me even this out. I'm trying to keep it even with the camera and the light. For U.S. manufacturing and fuel consumption, so for one lifetime of a vehicle in the U.S., 126. So 126,000 pounds of CO2 for the lifetime of just one vehicle in the U.S. That big ass one, like right there, that right there, that shit, that's training the AI model. And for folk that don't know what that means, so you have to train an AI model to be able to pick up information, to be able to interact with people. So as you can see, right, to train the AI model, and it's not like not utilizing it. So not people actively using it, just to train it to make it a functional AI model is 626,200. No, I lied. 626.2. If I'm not mistaken. Somewhere between like 626,000 or 6 million. One of the two pounds of CO2. And that's just to train it. And folks are eating AI up right now and loving AI. AI is one of the most toxic influences on global warming there is, and every company is investing in AI. But why? It's technology, right? So you got to think about it. AI has these data centers that are constantly running on electricity. So they're constantly burning fossil fuels. They're constantly running on energy. And they're constantly producing e-waste. And that's just to train it and not even implementing it in everyday use. So for different technology. You see the size of that compared to the size of that. And remember, that's just one model, and you got every company investing in it, and then new companies that weren't in existence before that are now investing in it, all racing to produce the best AI. So they're basically in a race to end the fucking world, just so you can take a shortcut to some shit that you can already do. So again, the pro, making things more convenient and easier. The con, you won't be here long enough to use it. Right. So the second part of it, right? That first number is 15 billion. That's the number of trees that are getting cut down every year. Trees, because those are the things that take CO2 and turn them into oxygen. So Earth's protection from CO2, the tree, 15 billion of them are cut down every year. Deforestation for various reasons, real estate companies, hunting, just whatever the fuck people feel like doing, they cut trees down for. The number underneath it, 1.8 to 5 billion. That's the number of trees planted every year. So best case scenario, 5 billion trees. Let's just say everybody's planting all the trees that they've ever planted before. In a year where they cut down 15 billion, people are planting 5 billion trees. And these are not the same size as the trees getting cut down. 15 billion are full grown adult trees. And then the 5 billion are infants or young trees that don't process the same amount of CO2. And y'all wonder why it's hot outside, why the seasons switch, why the weather's inconsistent, why there's more natural disasters than ever. I mean, this board should tell you enough where things that are known to actively be damaging the planet, wink, wink, AI, are being heavily invested in and ignored. The results of what the outcome is are being ignored. And the things that regulate the planet are getting destroyed. And when you do the thought experiment, somebody's cutting down billions of trees to build houses, to sell to people, to make money that you won't be able to use if everybody's dead. Common sense ain't so common, man. I won't let that sit right there, just because when you think about how crazy that is, where things that are actively damaging the planet. Folks do anyway, just because it'll make money. So I'm going to improve my life here today. And the con is my kids will probably never get to enjoy it because they'll all be dead. So I'm going to cut short people's futures in order to improve my present. Same with the trees. So AI trees and things like that shape people's perspective of the future, because in the good old days, did shit that made sense. If it doesn't make fucking sense, you don't do it. When the human interaction and the well-being of the group is the main focus, you don't make decisions like that. But when you're individualized and you surround yourself with technology and you get away from human interaction, you end up with shit like this. And then you get politics and people arguing about whether it's real or not real. Again, my nostalgia is I used to play outside. Used to be in the sun all day. 12 hours. From sun up to sundown, we outside running around. So I'm familiar with the sun. That shit is not the same. Cook your skins quick. But you're welcome to try to say it's not real or not real, or it's real or it's real, and prognosticate from a distance with an opinion. Or you could try to find some facts and pick up information, learn different experiences from people who are aware or observant. But either way, you're going to find out the truth. Ignorance is only bliss until you need to know some shit. See y'all niggas next time.
Yeah.